Hello everyone, today we will see the osteology of the radius. The radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. Like any other long bone, it is having two ends, that is upper end, lower end and the shaft. The upper end we call it as the head of the radius, which is disc shaped and it has got concave superior surface. Below that, the constricted part we call it as the neck of the radius, and medially the tuberosity we call it as radial tuberosity. Coming to the shaft, it is having three borders and three surfaces. In that, the interosseous border is more prominent and more sharp in appearance. The lower end is having five surfaces. Anterior surface, we can see the horizontal ridge is present. Along the lateral surface, it extends downwards as an styloid process below, whereas medial surface a triangular area is present, and posteriorly when you see it is having four tubercles. In that, most predominant is the dorsal tubercle of the Lister, and inferior the articular surface is present. Coming to the anatomical position and the side determination, the disc shaped head should be facing above, whereas when you see at the lower end, the anterior surface is smooth and concave, and the posterior surface we see the tubercles, it should be facing posteriorly, and the interosseous border is sharp and it should be facing medially. The styloid process should be downwards and laterally. So when we hold this in anatomical position, so we can say that this is the left side of the radius. Coming to the individual parts, the upper end, that is the head, which is disc shaped, it has got superior surface which is concave and smooth. It articulates with the capitulum of the humerus, forming humeroradial joint, whereas its margin is overhanging all the sides except along the medial side, where it articulates with the radial notch of the ulna part. So the neck is the constricted part, so below the head. The neck is mainly enclosed by the narrow lower margin of the annular ligament, and the head and neck are free from the capsular attachment, and they can rotate freely within the socket. Below the neck is the tuberosity, which is having the rough posterior surface and the smooth anterior surface. Along the radial tuberosity, in the upper part, the quadrate ligament is attached, whereas in the lower part, the oblique cord is attached. Coming to the shaft of the radius is having three borders and three surfaces. First is the anterior border, which will start from the lower margin of the radial tuberosity, and it runs obliquely downwards and continues below, and when we trace it, it ends near the styloid process. So this is the anterior border of the radius. Coming to the medial border, or also we call it as interosseous border, so it is more sharp, continues from the lower margin of the radial tuberosity. When we trace it down, it continues with the posterior triangular area along the medial surface, that is at the lower end of the radius. Coming to the posterior border, it also starts from the lower margin of the radial tuberosity. It is more prominent in the middle part of the shaft of the radius, and it continues below till the dorsal tubercle of the Lister. Next, coming to the surfaces, so in between the interosseous and the anterior border is anterior surface. Between the interosseous and the posterior border is the posterior surface. In between the anterior and the posterior border is the lateral surface. Coming to the lower end is having five surfaces. The anterior surface, when we see, it is smooth and it is concave, whereas the lateral surface, it continues downwards as a projection, we call it a styloid process. Medially, triangular area is present where the lower part articulates with the head of the ulna, and posteriorly this area contains the tubercles, in that the most prominent one is the dorsal tubercle of Lister. So here mainly 4 tubercles are present. Coming to the inferior surface of the lower end, it is having a triangular area which articulates with the scaphoid bone, and the quadrilateral area articulates with the lunate bone. So coming to the muscle attachments, so when we see near the upper end, the radial tuberosity, that is the posterior surface of the radial tuberosity, will give attachment to the biceps brachii. Along the lateral surface superiorly, there is an attachment for the supinator muscle. In the middle part of the lateral surface, the pronator teres is inserted, and just above the styloid process along the lateral surface, it gives attachment to the brachioradialis muscle. So coming to the anterior surface, so when we see along the anterior surface and anterior border, this oblique line, we call it as anterior oblique line, which is nothing but the anterior border itself. So this anterior oblique line will give attachment to the radial head of the flexor digitorum superficialis, whereas rest of the anterior surface in this part will give attachment to the flexor pollicis longus, and this lower part of the anterior border will give attachment to the extensor retinaculum. The lower part of the anterior surface will give attachment to the pronator quadratus, and the sharp interosseous border will give attachment to the interosseous membrane. Coming to the posterior surface, the posterior surface will give attachment to the abductor pollicis longus and the extensor pollicis brevis. Coming to the lower end, when we see along the posterior surface, 4 tubercles are present, and in between those grooves from lateral to the medial, when we see, that is in the first groove, it will give passage for the abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. In the second groove, extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis will pass. In the third groove, which is medial to the dorsal tubercle of Lister, the extensor pollicis longus tendon will pass here. In the fourth groove, the extensor digitorum, extensor indicis, posterior interosseous nerve and the anterior interosseous artery will pass in this groove. And when we see the inferior margin, this inferior margin has got triangular area which is articulating with the scaphoid bone, and the quadrilateral area will articulate with the lunate bone. Coming to the ossification, the primary center for the shaft will appear at the 8th week of intrauterine life, whereas secondary center for the lower end, it will appear at 1 year and fuses with the shaft at 20th year, whereas for the upper end, it appears at 4th year and fuses at 18 years. Coming to the applied aspect of the radius, mainly when we see the fracture of radius, the lower end of the radius is most commonly to get fractured. Here the most common site is just 2 cm above the lower end, we will see the fracture of the radius. We call it as an Colles fracture. In this fracture, the distal part of the radius is displaced downwards and forwards, giving it an Dinner fork appearance, that we call it as Dinner fork deformity. Next is the opposite to this fracture, that is the Colles fracture, we call it as an Smith's fracture. The fracture of the styloid process, we call it as Schoffer's fracture. Next is one more condition, what we call it as an pulled elbow, that is seen in infants when there is a sudden stretch or sudden pull of the elbow takes place. The head of the radius, which is enclosed in the annular ligament, will get displaced, leading to the condition what we call it as an pulled elbow part. That is about the radius. Thank you.